Brian mentioned that the aging field people often don't agree, which is very true. We don't even agree internationally how to spell aging. Yeah? In Europe and in India generally, we used to use the colonial spellings of aging, A-G-E-I-N-G. But now I see even in India, they have started using the American imperialistic spellings A-G-I-N-G. So it's a choice between colonialism versus imperialism. But that's the trivial comment on the state of our knowledge. I'm so happy that this IAC, Deepak and his group, they are taking this initiative to research and resurrect, or resurgence and resurrection of aging question. It's not the first time India is dealing with the question of aging. Aging research in India has a long history from 1970s onward, from Varanasi, from Amritsar, from Hyderabad, and I am a product of that original, that time period, and there are some others around that. Now, there is so much enthusiasm and excitement for the younger generation that if we have enough resources and money and manpower, we are going to solve everything, which is fantastic, and we need to have that attitude, and things are happening. That's why longevity medicine conferences, longevity medicine, geroprotection, all that, hundreds of things are going on. But once in a while, one needs to just slow down a little bit. And I, now declaring myself as an elder in gerontology, in the tribe of gerontology for being so long, I have the privilege and the responsibility from time to time to remind what biogerontology or aging research has been doing and has done, and what are we going to build? Should we just ignore the history, or should we have deeper foundations built on knowledge, not just on hope and promise and greed? There is a lot of greed involved in this so-called longevity medicine scenario in the world today. So I'm going to make use of that privilege of my being an elder in the field to recapitulate what we have learned, what are the red flags, what we need to feel. So basically in the next 15 minutes, I have to use about, say, 450 kilometers per minute to, because I came from 6,000 kilometers away, to cover a big field. So we know a lot. When we say we don't understand aging, that's not true. We understand lots of things in aging, and that's what I will share with you. Biogerontology, the field of biological basis of aging, is very well described at all levels, from all the way to metabolism, and these are just highlighting some areas. It's very well described, and we know why it happens. Why it happens, that's where 3 principles of aging I will share with you. So these are my understandings after 50 years in the field. They may be wrong, but at least one scientist is able to stick his neck out. This is where I stand with my understanding. First principle, old age is the downhill phase during our life after the essential lifespan of the species. Now, this concept of essential lifespan is very, very important. Every species in evolution needs certain time to grow up, reproduce, and fulfill its purpose of life, which is continuation of generation. So this is the word we use, essential lifespan of a species. A Drosophila needs about 7 to 8 days as essential lifespan, but in the laboratory, it can live 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. So essential lifespan for our species, Homo sapiens, is around 45 years. So if we live beyond 45, biologically, we enter into old age. First of all, that's one principle of aging. When does aging start? Yeah? So as I mentioned there, old age is that downhill phase, first of all. This is things where things are going to go wrong more and more and more. Nothing good is going to happen in old age at a biological level. Then comes, but for that essential lifespan, evolution has worked really hard to create mechanisms for survival, for repair. So metabolism is there. That's where genome, epigenome, all that studies we can make. But from our lifespan point of view, at least for essential lifespan, this is the maintenance, defense, maintenance, and repair systems which are the most important, which are so-called optimized according to the species. And hundreds of genes are involved in that, which we call longevity assurance genes. There are longevity assurance genes for essential lifespan. Evolution has evolved essential lifespan. Evolution has not evolved aging. There is no evolution of aging. Evolution of life happens. One way to think about longevity assurance genes is this homeodynamic space, which is the term Brian eventually used. I have been using that term for 20 years now, that we need certain survival ability. It's a kind of a, and it's a dynamic. Homeostasis is the worst term which we can use in biology. There is nothing homeostatic, but we are used to using it. Sometimes we call it dynamic homeostasis. It's a dynamic, interactive. Life is always dynamic and interactive. Yeah? So then we have homeodynamic space as our ability to live, and three major symptoms or requirements for homeodynamics is stress response, damage control, constant remodeling. And this is what determines our robustness and resilience. I'm not going to explain every term here. This is the second understanding emerging. We owe our life to homeodynamics, and homeodynamic space defines how healthy I am or I am not. So, other principle of aging that comes, and what is aging? Aging is the progressive shrinkage of our homeodynamic space. First part is not aging. Second part is aging, and it's the shrinkage which is then lead to one or more diseases, yeah, that everybody knows. All diseases of old age are based in the process of aging. But why this aging happens when we have those fantastic maintenance and repair mechanisms which evolution has worked? But before we go to that, another important thing has been mentioned. The pace and rate of aging is very, very individualistic and heterogeneous. No two persons become old in the same way. No two parts of the body become old in the same way. No two organs become old in the same way, all the way down to the molecular level. And that's a great achievement of biogerontology, to show that aging is so individualistic and heterogeneous that if I come to you with a pill which is going to make you young everywhere, every part of your body, not only you but also your family and friends, I am just after your money. Yeah, there is not going to be that, if we understand that this science is correct, which I think it is correct. Yeah, this is what we know, and then we can talk about any level of heterogeneity. Even Professor Deepak Saini mentioned about the heterogeneity at cholesterol. So why aging happens then? If there are so fantastic mechanisms, then why aging happens? Then another important message in biology or in our universe, everything is imperfect. There is no such thing as perfection, especially in biological processes. If you believe in quantum physics, if you believe in laws of thermodynamics, if you believe in entropy, that immediately tells nothing can be accurate 100% of the time at 100% of the situations. Biological processes are imperfect. Evolution has just tweaked on that to make it work until around essential lifespan. So that is the cause of aging, the imperfections of our processes. The important part, this part happens without any gerontogenes. There is no gene in our body which causes aging. There is no mechanism in the body which is measuring my time for dying. The body is a living entity. It tries to live. But evolution has not made any gerontogenes, another of my terms which I coined in 1985, but spent all my life proving that gerontogenes cannot exist. They do not exist. The genes are there, thousands of genes for survival, for longevity assurance, but they are imperfect. So these are the basic now gist of whole biogerontology. So interventions, what do you want to do? This is what we are doing right now. All that description, and now we are trying to pick up on our favorite target, where we need either stimulators or inhibitors or every kind of combinations. And the fantastic thing is, all these interventions, which are reductionistic based approach, they do work at their particular target. But going from bottom to upward to physiology to overall aging, longevity, there is no data, especially for our species. There are some data coming for Drosophila, nematodes, and other. So, but this is the most dominant approach right now. So, future of aging research here also, aging people in the 50 years in aging have done hundreds of compounds have been tested. As for, so this is until 3 days ago, the database of so-called geroprotectors kept by Pedro Magales, one of my colleagues. There are 259 individually tested compounds, hundreds of publications. So you can go to this base and you will see what compound does what, but all compounds claim to be anti-aging, geroprotector. Not one of them, any scientist will stand by them to say, this, I will take it and stand by it. Why not? Yeah. By this time, we could have found the combination and live forever. Yeah, there are so many things. So if we carry on that approach, that's not going to work. So we have to do something different. That's why last year I wrote a very important article, 7 knowledge gaps. That although we have 60 years of biogerontology research and understanding, there are certain very crucial answers which we need to address, which we experimentally address. All future research should maybe take care of that. Again, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through those 7 talks. Health promotion. So subtitle of my talk was Drugs for Health. Because so far we have been presenting aging both as a disease model and as a burden model, although that is now changing. Aging is primarily loss of health. Yeah? So instead of anti-aging, we need to change our language also. How do we reach public? Health promotion. Why should I be healthy without being afraid of diseases? So far we are all told, if I don't do this, I will get this disease, that disease. It doesn't work. It's just like ethics. If you don't behave nice, you will go to hell. If you do nice, you will go to heaven. It doesn't work. Same thing, it doesn't work when you tell me I should do this and that, otherwise I will get that disease. I need to know why I need to be healthy today. And how do we talk with society? How do we talk with people? How do we promote our thing? So one thing, then I started saying, we need drugs for health. Generally, we have drug against this situation, against this. Can we even use the word drug for health? And that's where one area which one can think about is this relationship between stress and life, stress and health. Yeah? And this is biphasic dose response. Nothing in biology is in a linear curve. Things are always biphasic, and that is the response of hormesis. And in all your educations, you must have either studied biphasic dose response, U-shape curve, J-shape. There are so many terms, but now we call them all hormetic curves or hormesis. The phenomenon of hormesis is repeatedly challenging the body with mild stress. In case of human beings, I add the word stress of choice. Although the studies are done with cell culture or animals and other also, they don't have much choice, but still it works. But the doing, repeatedly challenging the body. And what is the best thing? Everybody has been talking since morning also. What is good about exercise? Biochemically, it's one of the worst things we can do to our body. When I'm exercising, I'm producing billions of more free radicals. Acids, cells are dying. But we all know that moderate repeated exercise is fantastic. Not only on the muscle, which I'm doing, but every part of the body. Not only my muscles become better, my immune system becomes better, my cognition becomes better, my memory becomes better. You name what is missing from exercise's effects. This is what the holistic health approach is. So exercise is a kind of drug for health. It does not target any individual pathway, although people would like to make exercise pills. They will never come, so don't fall for that. But exercise is the best example of the phenomenon of hormesis. Hormesis is mild stress-induced activation of your own homeodynamics. And why? So anything which causes hormesis, then we coined the term hormet. I like to make new words. It keeps my focus that, okay, what are we talking about? So hormetin is any condition which can induce hormesis with potential health benefits. Physical hormetins, in which exercise is well known, cold shock, radiation, so sauna, etc. And so there are lots and lots, hundreds of papers available showing what are the hormetic effects of physical hormetins, mental hormetins, playing exercises with the brain, even meditation, all that calorie restriction, and nutritional. That is the most studied or most well-known area. Lot of things in the food we take, they are good because they are bad. Because plants make them as their defense molecules. These are their stress pathways. All spices come under that category. They have no nutritional value in terms of protein, carbohydrate, fat. They all have hormetic value. Thousands of papers on haldi-related curcumin. What does curcumin do? It goes in the cell, causes oxidative stress, and then hundreds of antioxidative pathways respond. Now that is the path, say. So same thing, fasting, it induces, say, autophagy. So there is a whole area of hormesis and hormetins being studied by hundreds of, the central mechanism of hormesis is these 7 major pathways in the cell, depending upon what is the kind of stress which will be included. Oxidants will cause NRF2 pathway to be activated. Food restriction will induce autophagy. Nutritional energy deficiency will induce sirtuins, inflammation. So these are 7 major pathways, and now we are trying to develop categories, like at some stage vitamins were created. So hormetin A will be all those hormetins which induce autophagy and so on. All these things are published. This is a protocol I published that if you are in the industry, you want to discover new hormetins, both from the chemical point of view or other, then there is a protocol. How can we develop our research protocol to create and define a new one? So finally, the message I want to give here is maintaining, improving, and recovering homeodynamics. This is the approach for healthy longevity, not anti-aging approach. Anti-aging, I hate the word because I am aging every day. I don't want to hate myself. So first of all, I must accept, acknowledge aging happens to all of us who will live longer than 45, which is the most common. Acknowledge, accept, and then challenge yourself. I think that's enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh, also for sticking to time. We have time for a few questions. Maybe we'll start from somebody standing up there, so maybe we should go to that person first. Yes.
Thank you very much. I have just one question. From a purely evolutionary biology perspective, isn't aging planned obsolescence?
No, aging just happens because evolution did not bother to keep us or keep any organism alive after essential lifespan. Aging is allowed to happen because the systems are not optimal or perfect to keep it. And the beauty is it didn't even make the killer gerontogene. Yeah, so there is no program of aging, there is no predetermination. It just happens, but happens within the, so in order to understand the final cause of aging is life itself. The 3 things which keep me alive are the basic killers of my body. Oxygen, nutritional glucose, and basic biochemical processes, potential for errors and mistakes. So those 3 things which is necessary for survival are ultimately the cause of its collapse because they are imperfect, just good enough for essential lifespan. It's a great achievement of human beings that we have started living double than our essential lifespan. That's where there's the celebration of human power. So no program, sorry, no genes for aging.
Suresh, amazing talk.
Yeah, okay. You have to coordinate.
Yes, I am.
Why do you say so that the downfall starts after age 45?
Yes.
Because men remain fertile and productive even after age 45. Women's menopause hits, but they can play the role of grandmother and be helpful for offsprings. Yeah.
Again, after essential lifespan, damage is occurring all the time. But that's where the exponential part comes. There is menopause, which is a clear example in our species and 2-3 other species, but most of the time there is no such clear-cut stage. And evolution primarily also works through the female selection process. The males are allowed to, although there is a lot of damage even in human beings' sperm. So that is just the observation because there is no planning about that. Planning is only for survival. and then whatever happens is allowed to happen. So we have to work on the life processes, not on the problem processes. That's just changing the paradigm and approach, and maybe that will help people to understand it better, that we haven't been selling health properly. Yeah, we have been selling fear, and it hasn't worked.
Thanks, Suresh. Suresh from Institute of Aging myself.
Yes.
When the person reaches a certain age, the aging falls, the curve is very steep, or is it a plateau? One question. And is there, I know you told that there are no specific genes that trigger that process. What is this all about 31s and all this? Can you throw some light on the steepness of the curve after a certain age?
Well, that's what the pace of aging is. Yeah, the curve, and it's so heterogeneous, and Brian Kennedy really referred to that we almost have individual rates. How my muscles are aging will also depend upon what was my childhood nutritional status, my disease status. Not only my childhood, before my birth, what happens in mother's womb affects our lives 50, 60 years later. Yeah? So it's very, very difficult to answer that question. We need to know how to measure homeodynamic space of an individual. Technology, AI will be helping. This is where the modern research will go. And I'm a great supporter of all these approaches. But at the same time, I keep putting little bit of this brakes on the enthusiasm. Please remember, hundreds of scientists have worked a lot to reach these conclusions. Yeah?
Thank you, Dr. Let's thank Dr. once again.